Hello and welcome to this edition of Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan. Remember, this program was designed for writers and lovers of books. My name is Michael Olatunbosun. Let's set sail and get going. The book for today is a unique one. It showcases the topography, geography and history as well as peculiarities of Oyo State. It is titled Know Oyo State, published in 2025 by Safari Books and written by Prince Dotun Oyelade, the Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Oyo State. Prince Dotun Oyelade is an award-winning veteran in the Nigerian journalism space. He's a political communication strategist and he has had stints working with governors in different positions, including as Chief Executive of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State. He has authored 10 books on his profession, politics, and biographies. The author set out immediately to explain his motives. He writes in the preface that the book aims to redirect the attention of the youth to their roots in a country that many decades ago removed history from its curriculum. Of course, after 30 years of misadvised removal of history, it is back in the education landscape, but the damage had been done. So to keep us apprised of our history, and especially that of Oyo State, the author pens this book to change the narrative radically to suit the quantum of new facts as they emerged from dogged research about the unique history of Oyo State. The author is convinced that the history of Oyo State must be exhumed and not allowed to go into extinction as a result of the flawed policies of past administrations. In the book, Prince Dotun Oyelade attributes the creation of Oyo State in 1976 to the military regime of Murtala Muhammad. In the first chapter of the book, the author also traces the history to its evolution from being the Western region in 1954, created by Sir Macpherson, the British Governor General, to Western State in 1967, to Old Oyo State in 1976, and to the present Oyo State in 1991, after the creation of Osun. For those who may not be familiar with the geographical divisions of Oyo State, the author breaks it down. We have 33 local government areas spread across Ibadan Municipal, Ibadan Lesser City, Ibarakpa, Ogbomosho, Oke-Ogun Zone 1, Oke-Ogun Zone 2, and Oyo. The author also informs the reader about the geography and topography of the state, including its landmass, vegetation, and predominant occupation of the people, and so on. The author furnishes us with the political and governance trajectory of Oyo State, especially from its Western region days, and the characters prominent on the scene then, including Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Chief Ladoke Akintola, who were premiers. In the book Know Oyo State, Prince Dotun Oyelade takes us by the hand and guides us through a tour of some important towns in the state. He showcases towns like Ibadan, Oyo, Ogbomosho, Shaki, Iseyin, Eruwa, Igboora, Erumu, and Awe. He provides vividly their high points, uniqueness, and significant contributions to the social, economic, cultural milieu of the state. We also have in the book the administrative layout of the state. The overriding objective is to educate the reader on the primary roles of each arm of government, comprising the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, the agencies and parastatals through which the arms of government perform their roles for the overall development of the state. Here, the author mentions by name all government ministries for the enlightenment of the reader. You are listening to Book Splash on Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan, and I'm discussing the book Know Oyo State, written by Prince Dotun Oyelade. In this first part of our conversation, Prince Oyelade discusses his motivation for writing the book, among other things. Let's talk about your book, Know Oyo State. I know you've written quite a number of books. We've engaged regarding some of your books, but this one is different in a lot of ways. What inspired this work?
Well, as you have rightly said, I've written a number of books. Statistically, it's my 10th Know Oyo State. And by His grace, another one should be brewing. This time, moving closer home. The title is Ogbomoso, okay. Once Upon a Time.
I understand that.
I can tell you what provoked that. But essentially about this one, Know Oyo State, it definitely is one of the most important books I have written. But when you look at the psyche of books and authors, indeed, Every book fills a vacuum. Every book has its genre in certain evolution of human endeavor. So is this one. The difference with this book is that the idea started some 12 years ago, actually, after which 2 or 3 other books have emerged from me. But it started about 12 years ago. But somehow it never got off the ground until I got sufficiently enthused, I should say, when the federal government, some 2 years ago, decided to lift the ban on history, having realized the calamitous mistake it made a couple of years earlier when history was banned from the school's curriculum. So when they found out that no other form of teaching can replace history in its raw scientific form, they reverted. And it occurred to me now, those students who should have benefited from history have now lost out. So you find people now in their 30s, in their late 20s, they didn't go through the beauty of knowing our history. So they've lost out. So they have to do catch up. So it occurred to me that I cannot affect Nigeria, but I can affect Oyo State. So I set the ball in motion, and we brought out this book, which is not necessarily and only for our students, but indeed it is a book for all time and for all peoples. Yes, because sheer knowledge has its own elements of strength. So it's a book for all time.
I like the fact that you said it's a book for all time. What fascinates me is you are not just talking history here. You are also giving us a peep into the topography and geography of the state. We usually hear it said that Oyo State is, in terms of landmass, is bigger than the 5 states of the southeast. Is one of the biggest states in terms of landmass. Agriculture is the mainstay, and so on and so forth. A lot of people are not aware of some of these things, and these things are in this book, and particularly because it seems to speak to the 50th anniversary of the state. Is this a design or coincidence, really?
Honestly, by the time this book was in the brew, I never thought of the 50th anniversary. Of course, I knew it would be next year, of course, 1976.
Yeah.
But it never crossed my mind. So you can call it a veritable coincidence, if you like. But having said that, Oyo State government has inaugurated a committee, 50th anniversary committee, and I think it would be a very good idea and a very relevant and pertinent one at that, if the book can definitely be advertised in the course of the celebration. So that, because it encompasses as much as humanly possible, virtually all steps of our evolution as a state, and those things that we hold dear to our hearts in terms of culture, in terms of indeed every facet of life. So it is a holistic book that has tried to look at Oyo State as it was and as it is presently. It's a book for all time.
All right, I'm discussing the book No Oyo State, written by Prince Dotun Oyelade, and the program is Book Splash on Splash FM. In this book, you gave us a peep into the, if you like, the geographical divisions of Oyo State. You called it Ibadan Municipal, Ibadan Lesser City, Ibarapa, Ogbomoso, Okeogun Zone 1, Okeogun Zone 2, and Oyo. A lot of people who even reside in the state, we always see just Ibadan, and we assume that we've seen Oyo State. I have been to some of these places, Ogbomoso, saying I've been to some of these major towns that you also discussed in the book. And it's beyond just visiting these places. There are monuments that appeal to tourists, that appeal to business-minded people, that appeal to the intellectuals. You have a lot of things to pick from Oyo State. But while we have all these things, there seems to be scanty information that attracts people to some of these monuments and some of these very important historical towns. Why is this so?
You are absolutely correct. And I think it's not a situation that is peculiar to Oyo State. All over the world, you do have concentration of development and awareness in certain areas more than the others. There are multifarious reasons for this, be it economic, be it proximity, and such stuff. In the case of Oyo State, I have had the unique privilege, being a journalist the past 47 years, I've had the privilege of visiting the nooks and crannies of Oyo State, not only as a journalist, more as a journalist, by the way, but indeed, equally, as a politician. Although you can always quote me, and I cannot always defend it when I say that Dotun Oyelade is a professional in politics. Dotun Oyelade is not a professional politician. There is this fine yet unambiguous demarcation between the two, but fine difference nonetheless. So, I mean, name an area in Oyo State, and I'm likely to be able to pinpoint a uniqueness about that place, no matter how remote. So, with the benefit of that hindsight, I've been able to interrogate what are those things that qualify for mentioning in this unique book. And I think we have, with humility, succeeded in exhuming some of these things, bring them to the limelight, and place them in the book for posterity. So, in case of Ibadan, if you find that there is a large chunk of concentration in Ibadan, the reasons are rather obvious. Incidentally, at the commissioning of the Oyo State bus terminal at Iwo Road, which tape was cut by the former President Obasanjo, he said that Ibadan occupies a unique position in Oyo State. In terms of population, he said that Ibadan has the third largest concentration of people, after, of course, according to him, Kano and Lagos. As for Kano, that may be arguable. We'll have to wait for another census and see just how credible it will be. So Obasanjo said that. So that would tell you again that Ibadan has certain uniqueness that cannot be wished away. Another uniqueness is that Ibadan happens to be the place where literally the whole of Yoruba land was sourced. Remember that even during the Western region, it was the capital.
The political capital.
Then in the 70s, it became, Osun was
carved out of the 90s.
But you see, yes, Osun was carved out, Ekiti went its way, even former Edo went its way, all from Ibadan as capital. But they all left an indelible mark here. Indelible in terms of human resources. Some of their children never went with them. They have houses and they come building. So Ibadan economically is enhanced, to occupy the numero uno position in the Committee of States and Towns in